Hi, welcome back to All About That Disney Life. I am Danny B, the girl who is all about that Disney life. We now move on to a Goofy movie, which came out in 1995. So let's get to know this cast. Jason Marsden was the talking voice of Maximilian, or Max Goof, while Aaron Lohr was the singing voice for Max. Bill Farmer was Goofy. Rob Paulsen was PJ. Jim Cummings was Pete. Kelly Martin was Roxanne. Pauly Shore was Robert Bobby Zimmerowski. Wallace Shawn was Principal Mazer. Frank Welker was Bigfoot. Jenna Van Oy was Stacy. Tevin Campbell was Powerline. Kevin Lima was Lester the Possum and Roxanne's father. Florence Stanley was the waitress. Joanne Worley was Miss Maples, the secretary. Joey Lawrence was Chad. Julie Brown was Lisa. Pat Buttram was the MC for Lester's Possum Park. Dante Basco was the Trekkie nerd. Wayne Allwyn was Mickey Mouse. Pat Carroll was the big woman in the On the Open Road scene. And Corey Burton was the small husband in the On the Open Road scene. Now we move on to the facts all about the kid very embarrassed to have Goofy for a father. Number 1, the production. This movie is based on Goof Troop, an animated Disney afternoon show created by Robert Taylor and Michael Pirazza Jr., which centered around Goofy and his son Max. Disney decided to produce a movie based on the show, contracting Jim Megan to write a feature-length script starring Goofy. The filmmakers decided to age up Max because he was a kid in Goof Troop, setting the movie several years later and putting him in high school. Megan stated that the father-son dynamic of the movie was inspired by a story from Walt Disney Studios chairman Jeffrey Katzenberg, in which he and his daughter went on a road trip together, during which they bonded and their relationship got better. Number 2, outside help. When the movie entered production, it was considered far less essential than the studio's mainstream works at the time, like The Lion King, and it was given a far smaller budget compared to other films. It was jointly produced by Walt Disney Feature Animation, Walt Disney Television Animation, and Disney Movie Tunes. And also with outsourcing to Walt Disney Animation France and Walt Disney Animation Australia, along with additional Disney Animation Studios in Spain and Canada. Pre-production was done at the Main Feature Animation Studio in Burbank, California, starting as early 1993. The animation work was done at Walt Disney Animation France in Paris. Additional scenes were animated at Disney Studio in Sydney, Australia. Cleanup work was done at the main Burbank studio, and additional cleanup or animation was done by Phoenix Animation Studios in Canada and digitally inked and painted by the Pixelbox Studio in France. Number 3, character inspiration. Most of the characters were from Goof Troop, so you had Goofy, PJ, Pete, and Max. So they stayed the same. It's just PJ and Max, they just got aged up to teenagers. Megan named Principal Mazer after his own high school principal. Powerline was inspired by real-life pop stars like Michael Jackson, Prince, and Bobby Brown. Tevin Campbell recorded the songs in front of a green screen while performing his own choreography. Number 4, the box office. The movie opened in 2,159 theaters in the United States and Canada on April 7th, 1995. It placed second on its opening weekend with $6.1 million. It ended its run at the United States box office with $35.3 million. Internationally, it made $2.3 million, partially because the movie was not released theatrically in most overseas territories, for a worldwide total of $37.6 million. Number 5, nominations. At the Annie Awards, this movie was nominated for Best Animated Feature, but it lost to Pocahontas. This movie was also nominated for Best Individual Achievement for Production Design in the field of animation, but it lost to Pocahontas. The movie was also nominated for Best Individual Achievement for Storyboarding in the field of animation, but it lost to Gargoyles, the television show, to the episode Reawakening. The movie was also nominated for Best Individual Achievement for Music in the field of animation, but it lost to Pocahontas for the songs Eye to Eye and Stand Out. And finally, this movie was nominated for Best Individual Achievement for Animation, but it lost to Pocahontas. Number 6, The Legacy. Even though it did poorly at the box office during its initial release, this movie started to get successful in 1995 to home media sales. The interest in the movie is attributed to a combination of the movie's catchy soundtrack, as well as its story of cross-generational connection between parents and kids. In 2023, a new orchestrated instrumental version of Eye to Eye was added as part of the new area music for the refurbished Mickey's Toontown section of Disneyland. Goofy's Yard now includes a Bigfoot trap as part of a play area. Inside of the ticket booth of the land's EI Capitoon Theater, there are references to Lester's Possum Park, Powerline, and a photo of the little girl that Max encounters at Lester's. Inside of the attraction's Keek, there are parody movie posters including on featuring Goofy and Max, parodying the 1976 movie Freaky Friday with the tagline, "Father and Son Who Never Saw Eye to Eye," and another parodying the 2008 movie High School Musical 3 Senior Year, featuring Max, PJ, Roxanne, Bobby, and Stacy. Number 7, bonus facts. This movie is a spin-off of Goof Troop, meaning it contains numerous callbacks and references to several episodes of the series. Max's embarrassment of Goofy and fear of being compared to him by his friends was also a key aspect of episodes like Queasy Rider, Meanwhile Back at the Ramp, and Educating Goofy. When teaching Max how to fish, Goofy has a surprise encounter with Bigfoot, a creature that Goofy had previously met in the cartoon Winter Blunderland. One of the stops Goofy and Max visits during the road trip montage is a monster truck rally, and Goofy had previously took Max to one back in Date with Destiny. Max and PJ's affinity for Powerline and his rock music has its roots in episodes that featured their lore for other rock groups such as the Rolling Stones in the episode Where There's Smoke, There's Goof. Also Subliminal Messengers in the episode Maximum Insecurity and Shake, Rattle, and Goof. The Ruptured Eardrums also in Shake, Rattle, and Goof. Brass Knuckleheads in the episode And Baby Makes 3. And an unnamed rock group in the episode As Goof Would Have It. Number 8, where can we find these characters? Well, sit back and relax, we got another list. We'll start off with Goofy. In Mickey's Toontown at Disneyland, Goofy's Playhouse is one of the many homes available for the guests to go inside and visit. In 2011, Goofy became the star of Goofy's Sky School at Disney California Adventure. The attraction pays tribute to Goofy's famous how-to cartoons and is based specifically on Goofy's glider. In 2016, Goofy was given his segment in World of Color, Season of Light, where he and Max light up their home for Christmas, which sparks a fire and comically electrocutes Goofy. At Walt Disney World, originally called Goofy's Barnstormer, Goofy was the star of the popular Magic Kingdom attraction. The story of the ride was that Goofy took the liberty of flying a plane around his barn, which ultimately destroyed the surrounding farm. The attraction closed with the rest of Mickey's Toontown Fair in 2011 and was replaced by the Great Goofini, the only difference being that the ride was 3-themed to match the new area of Storybook Circus. He is also dressed as the Great Goofini for meet and greets inside Pete's Silly Sideshow. Goofy has a segment during Mickey's Royal Friendship Fair where Tiana from The Princess and the Frog teaches him how to dance and play the tambourine. At Disney's Hollywood Studios, Goofy plays a major role in Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway as the train conductor meant to ride guests through the attraction. At the beginning, however, the train carts are unknowingly separated, prompting Mickey and Minnie to rescue the runaway guests. At the end, the carts are reattached with the still oblivious Goofy. In Tokyo Disneyland's Toontown, Goofy hosts an interactive attraction called Goofy's Paint and Playhouse, which is located inside Goofy's house, replacing the original bounce house form of the attraction. Next character is Max. At Disneyland Resort in the World of Color Season of Light, Max appeared in Goofy's segment in which they overdo it on the Christmas lights and spark a house fire. In the 2023 overhaul of Goofy's Playhouse at Disneyland, a number of family pictures of Max and Goofy are hanging around the walls, with the neighboring Goofy's how-to yard being focused on Max's old play fort. At Walt Disney World, Max performs in his Powerline costume at the opening act for Mickey's Boo to You Halloween Parade as part of Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party following the parade's restoration following the shutdown from the coronavirus pandemic, dancing to both Stand Out and Eye to Eye, with his backup cast members dressed well ahead of the start of the parade procession and following the Headless Horseman, making his way down the parade route ahead of them as the opening scene. At Tokyo Disney Resort, Max is mostly heavily featured in the Japanese parks, both as a walk-around character and in numerous Mickey Mouse-related merchandise, holiday events, and promotions. On the Disney Cruise Line, Max occasionally makes appearances aboard the ships of the Disney Cruise Line, One notable occasion in 2016 took place on the Disney Wonder, in which Max and Goofy performed to eye in the lobby. Next character is Pete. In the 1980s, Pete appeared as a walk-around character in Disneyland's Fantasy on Parade. He was depicted as a dog catcher who rode a van that carried real dogs. Pete's goal in the parade was to capture Pluto, who would rescue the captive canines, which would lead to a comical segment in which they would have to be corralled back into the van. During the Disney California Adventure expansion, Pete was seen in a mural of him and several other classic Disney characters as construction workers. In the 2015 rendition of World of Color, Pete made a few cameo appearances during the montage celebrating Mickey Mouse. At Walt Disney World in the former Mickey's Toontown Fair at Magic Kingdom, Pete was the mascot of Pete's Garage with a restroom for park guests. Also, there was Pete's paint shop for face painting and removable tattoos. In Disney Springs, a large Pete statue can be found in the Team Mickey shop. In 2011, Mickey's Toontown Fair was closed and replaced by Storybook Circus, a new section of Fantasyland. As part of that, Pete is the host of Pete's Silly Sideshow, a meet and greet area where one can meet different Disney characters, all in circus costume. However, only his voice is heard in the attraction. At Disney's Hollywood Studios, Pete appears as an audio animatronic in Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. He is seen as a construction worker who sadistically uses his jackhammer to cause mayhem. Also made a brief appearance towards the end of Wonderful World of Animation. At Shanghai Disneyland, Pete's likeness is featured alongside other classic characters in the Mickey Avenue section of the park. Next character is PJ. PJ appears in 2 framed pictures at Goofy's Playhouse. In one, he is part of a family portrait with Pete, Peg, and Pistol on a picnic. In the other, he is posing with Max and Pistol while trick-or-treating. He is dressed as an astronaut, while Pistol is a cowgirl and Max is Powerline. And lastly, the last character is Powerline. A Powerline branded candy called Power Limes is featured in the Keek of the Disneyland version of Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway at the EI Caputoon Theater's concession stand and was sold as a real candy shortly after the attraction's opening. A young Max can also be seen dressed as Powerline for Halloween in a photo in Goofy's house. And there you have it, all the facts about a Goofy movie. If you like this video, please hit that like button and don't forget to leave a comment down below and don't forget to subscribe. And I hope you have a zippity-doo-dah day. Goodbye.